And welcome once again to another fantastic video. In this upload we review the latest maps made by the Hive team on a recent murder mystery update. And welcome back to another fantastic upload. My name is Dr. Wasabi, and as the intro would suggest, we're looking at the new maps made by the Hive team for the new murder mystery update. Now, I absolutely love this, folks. This kind of expansion of the map building styles. I've always complimented the Hive server on their building styles. I think it's a great way to distinguish yourself as a server, and it's so glad to see that they've actually been expanding this into the other game modes like Death Run. But for now, we're just going to be watching the murder mystery update, so to speak. So murder mystery in and of itself, I don't have a solid opinion on. I do play it at the end when it comes to streams. I think it's a great party game, but in general it's fairly neutral. I would say, you know, you can play a few games and then hop onto Sky Wars or Treasure Wars at your own convenience. So it's not necessarily a competitive game, but where it does actually benefit is in the design of the maps. I absolutely love some of the designs that they've been able to come up with. And so with that, they've added 3 new maps. I believe one is called Chroma, the other one is called Pigment, and the last one is called Remnants. So those are the maps we are going to be reviewing. Now, of course, this is my humble opinion. I'm free to have a debate in the comment sections of which one is your favorite, which one do you not like, do you hate all of them? So if you want to give your opinion in the comment section below, it's always welcome for free and open debate. So I think without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, we are here, folks, in the first map called Pigment, and wow, it's like an artist's dream in here. So this map involves something called Bauhaus style, which is a certain kind of artistic movement which emphasizes shapes and bold colors, and I think it really emphasizes that. Now, this is my own humble opinion. I can't speak to the builders' inner thoughts. That is what came to mind when I saw this build, because it is very similar in the general style that this build employs. So taking a look around, lots of vibrant colors and things like that. Even the tables are a brilliant bold red, which is something I always like to see. Now, one thing I have to talk about is the custom assets. Now, look at this. Doesn't this cake look absolutely scrumptious? So one thing I will actually give Hive credit for, amongst some things, is its use of custom assets. It is such a important role to the kind of unique style of the server that I'm really glad they're using this a bit more in their maps. Now, the one thing I will say is a downside is whenever you are putting in custom assets, especially on the Render Dragon engine, there is an increased risk of pink glitch. Now, maybe they've been able to kind of countermand this effect, maybe not. That's just my opinion on this, but with all of these custom assets, there is increased risk of pink glitch, at least to my knowledge. What was that? Oh, this is a slime block. Oh, how strange. So, yes, this is a brilliant mansion in and of itself. It's got loads of twisting rooms, things like that. And one thing I've actually noticed, let's get its coin. There we go. Is that some of the coins have actually been changed. Now, of course, when they're updating certain game modes, they may be adding certain new features, and that is always welcome in my books. It just keeps the game fresh and things like that. So one of the things they have added is the new coins. You will see that will start to appear. Let me just see if I can find one. Okay, folks, so I wasn't able to find a single blue or pink coin, but essentially the other coins in general are just changed in color, and they'll give you extra coin slots. Now, this is good for gameplay because it gives players a chance to get more coins for quests, but it also gives people a chance to get a bow and test it out as freely as they can. So, in general, I love what we've done with this. This kind of upgrading of the map scale as well. You may seem that this map is very big in terms of scale. So yeah, I think we'll get on to the next map. And we are here for the second map called Chroma, and wow, I just love the amount of build diversity that the Hive team has put into these new maps. Straight from like Bauhaus cubism, we've gone to this weird fantasy cyberpunk-esque sci-fi mishmash, and I absolutely love it. You may have noticed that this is a very similar theme to Morbius, or Mobius, which is a map in survival games. It's got a very similar vibe in my opinion, with the kind of the usage of color, the bright neon, and all of that good stuff. Now, although it is very big, very tall, the space is quite limited. It's quite a good illusion, I think, using the kind of tall buildings to emphasize this this kind of the scale of size. But in general, it's generally the same map size as any other you would see. Now, in terms of interactables, this map does have teleporters, which is also an awesome addition, because Flo's doing quests, sometimes you're going to have to do teleporters and things like that, and sometimes it can be a bit of a chore when you're trying to find the right map. So one thing I will say is I love this design over here. The glow lichen over the prismarine is such a interesting combination. I'd never think of using that before, so fair dues. I always compliment on the Hive of giving me new design techniques, and honestly they surprise me even now. So just walking around here, have we gone this way before? Yes, we've gone this way before. One thing I should also note is I love these trees, honestly. I know it fits into the cyberpunk, but I would imagine that even having a tree on its own in this style would work just as well. The usage of the glass as the general leaves is such an interesting choice. It always is nice to have like a replace of texture in terms of leaves, because sometimes you can have an overabundance of leaves, in my opinion, and sometimes you just need a different texture just to give it a bit more depth. And hey ho, we have our first blue coin. So this is what they look like. I'm quite surprised I actually got this. I wasn't expecting this at all. So like that. Now, in terms of interactables, we have these little stall vendors, like so. This gives us like a random potion effect, I believe. Maybe it's swiftness, maybe it's invisibility. You never know these kind of things. So in general, I love how this came out. Now, sometimes I don't like this kind of style. Sometimes it can be a bit too mishmashy, in my opinion. But I think the Hive have struck a very delicate balance with this style, and I think it's a good addition to the map. So I think without further ado, let's get on to our final map. And we are here for the final map, which is Remnants. Now, for Pigment, the general design philosophy was in the art style itself. For Chroma, it was the kind of mashing of styles and the kind of verticality increase of the map itself. But with Remnant, this takes a completely different approach and kind of takes verticality on its head. Now, one thing I do want to show to you is this. Look at this. Now, the funny thing about this is that they made this entire thing. Let me just up the render distance somewhat. They made all of this just to be seen, never interacted with. Now look at that. This goes all the way back. So if I could up my render distance, I would. But it goes all the way back, and it ends around double where this render vision is seeing. So there we go. In general, this map is a mishmash of temple stylings, you know, your traditional Mayan South American designs, and it kind of puts it on its head with different block choices, such as this terracotta and things like that. So this map is very based on verticality, and in that I like it, because it doesn't have many interactables, but it makes up for the kind of layout of the map itself. So it's not a mansion, it's not a sprawling cityscape in the cyberpunk style. It is a ruin for you and your friends to enjoy, and to hunt down some innocent people, as is the mantra with Murder Mystery. So the way this employs itself is quite interesting. It almost looks like an excavation of sorts, that they made it that some people were excavating this ruin, but they all disappeared for some reason. It kind of adds a bit of mystery to the build itself. So I always like when they do these kind of builds, because it always adds some nice diversity to the map roster, which I always appreciate. Now, in terms of interactables, it does have a teleporter, so if I walk through here, it'll teleport me to a completely different place in the map, and I think we're right back where we started. Yeah, we're right back where I started. Oh dear. So let's take a turn down here, I think. Does this go anywhere? Now, there's loads of nooks and crannies for you to hide in here, which is what makes it more of the easier maps, in my opinion. Just because it's not as enclosed as Pigment or as sprawling as Chroma. But it does make up in these very big nooks and crannies, so you can hide here in these kind of rock faces, which I love, by the way. The kind of indication that the temple itself is so old that the earth itself is slowly growing around it is such a fantastic detail standpoint, especially with the use of the new update blocks, because when these updates do come out, sometimes it's between Minecraft updates, so they'll get new blocks to handle, and you can always see this in the older builds, but also in the newer builds as well. So if we go up these stairs, again, this adds to the verticality of the whole thing. I love the kind of use of this storage device. The use of the beehives as storage vessels, very nice. And I think the piece de resistance of this map itself is this wonderful fountain feature. You can just see the overgrowth of the fountain itself, which kind of makes sense. It's near water, plants are going to naturally grow closer around here. It just adds to that level of detail, which I always appreciate in these kinds of maps. So that is the general map of Remnant. I'm just so blown away with these maps. Honestly, it's been a real privilege playing these, kind of reviewing them, and admiring the building style of the builder itself. I don't know if this was one builder or a collection of builders, but whoever they are, my hats go off to them. They've done an amazing job with these builds so far. So I think without further ado, let's get back to the spawn lobby. Okay, we are back in the server spawn lobby. So we've reviewed all 3 maps. Now, in my opinion, it's quite a tough call saying which one is the best. But in my opinion, I would say it is a close tie between Pigment and Remnants, and that is for one, the gameplay aspect, because they're both vertical. I forgot to mention this in Pigment. There's actually a second floor to this, which is a bit smaller than Remnants, but it's each to their own. Some people like it when it's more enclosed in a space. It's better for gameplay, and some people like it when it's bigger rooms, bigger styles, and bigger maps. But it's a close tie between Pigment and Remnant. Of course, Chroma has its benefits, but in terms of style, it's more of a generic map, in my opinion, that you can add to the roster. It's a great style, but it doesn't really compare, in my opinion, to the general gameplay and artistic styles of both Pigment and Remnant. So I think, in my humble opinion, I would have to say that Remnant takes the cake when it comes to the best map, in my opinion. Now, of course, I must emphasize that some people have different tastes, and that is completely fine. So if you want to say what your opinion is on the favorite map so far in the Murder Mystery update, please say so in the comment section below. I think Remnant is the best map, in my opinion, both for the gameplay aspect of it, because you gotta look at that as well. It can't be pretty, but you can't play it. So for Remnant, the verticality adds a great aspect in terms of gameplay. It gives you lots of places to hide, which I think Pigment sort of lacks, because it has big sprawling rooms, but in terms of hiding spaces, it's very much what's the word? Not lacking, but it could do better in that regard, because sometimes you need to run away from the person who is trying to find you in a murder mystery. So hiding spaces are always great for that, and I think Remnant does a great job for that. So in terms of an ABC, A being the best and C being the least best, well, still good, of course, but you know what I mean. A would be Remnant, B would be Pigment, and of course C would be Chroma. So that is my 2 cents on the latest Murder Mystery update. Of course, if you do like what I do, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. If you disagree with me, that is completely fine. Please say so in the comment section below, so you can debate what your favorite maps are. It's always a great privilege to do these kind of things, and it's also very interesting to see what other people's opinions are as well, because you might like Chroma more or Pigment more. So it's just fascinating to see what people's kind of favorite design choices are and the reasons behind them. So that has been our video for today. I want to thank so much of you for watching this video. My name has been Dr. Wasabi. I wish you a most pleasant good evening, and of course, as always, God bless. And now, folks, it is time to say good night. We sincerely appreciate your viewing and hope we've succeeded in providing you with an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Stay happy and come back again soon. Good night.